Greg Wrubell, who is preparing to call BYU Gonzaga Part 3 on the women's side in the West Coast Conference Tournament title game. Greg, how you feeling about the Cougars and their matchup against Gonzaga after all of your preparation?
Feeling great as they go for the sweep of the Zags, and that feels good to say.
Absolutely, and it's for a title, too. The stakes are really high, and let's first rewind to yesterday before we preview the matchup with the Zags. This was a nice comeback for BYU where they got it done on the defensive end, down 13 in the second half.
And it was kind of weird as I was watching both games in person. I even when both teams were down double digits, Gonzaga and BYU, I really had this inkling that both could come back and would come back to win. And I just had a real confidence, especially about the BYU team, that wouldn't be an insurmountable deficit. And as you guys have certainly discussed, the way Paisley played, kind of lockdown defense in the second half, kind of changed things for BYU. And with Gonzaga being, shorthanded and missing about 18 points a game between Townsend and Stockton, and BYU's guard line playing as well as it is right now, the momentum they've got from yesterday, I think they feel like they're already in the field, right? So all you're playing right now is to kind of bump your seed and own the bragging rights over the Zags for the year. And they would still have it, even if they were to lose today. They won the 2 regular season games. But I think everything's kind of trending in BYU's favor right now. I think Gonzaga could be a little bit stunned. They came back and won, but they had to go 2 overtimes, lost 2 really important players. They know they're in the field as well. So I think it's a team that, BYU can really get after today.
Would you call BYU the favorite against Gonzaga, all things considered, with the home court for the Zags, but them playing with an obviously affected roster?
Yeah, the fact they beat them twice in the regular season, the fact that Gonzaga is down 2 big players that, again, average 18 points a game right now. I think if you were to call it pick 'em, I could understand that. But if you were to favor BYU by a bit, I would get that too.
Yeah, we are in Vegas, so there you go. Let's talk about the BYU men's team. First, the CBI, the NIT. We'll kind of see where we're at. I know you've been tweeting out kind of BYU's been below the metrics that have typically earned an NIT berth, in this case an at-large berth to the NIT. And then there's the CBI. Would BYU pay for play? How do you feel about kind of where BYU's at and where they might end up in the postseason if they play at all?
Yeah, the NIT right now, just based on previous history, as you noted, they're below that line. The one variable you can't control is just how many auto bids will be filled. The average is 12 every year, and if it ends up, considerably south of that, if you're looking at single digits of auto bids, well, then there's more teams you need to look at, and maybe BYU gets a deeper look. But again, by the metrics historically, it doesn't look great right now. Now, that said, the last time BYU lost in the first round of the WCC tournament was in 2013 against San Diego. BYU was picked as an NIT team and progressed all the way to New York City. Different team, different metrics, and that was then, this is now. But watch the rest of the week and just see how many auto bids do get filled in that bracket. The more that are available, the closer a look they might give BYU. And again, the one metric system that really favors BYU over the others right now is KPI. In Kevin Pauga's system, BYU was still, in the NIT field if you were just to project based on his numbers alone. And again, what he does with his is he just looks at his numbers and says, if these are the only things they were looking at, and these are the rankings of the teams I've got, BYU would slot into NIT X seed. And I think BYU was most recently even I think a 6 seed maybe in KPI. So, there's that. But ultimately, the numbers don't favor BYU right now. I know that the mid-major madness people and their bracket projection also kept BYU in as a 6 yesterday. That was, again, based on, very few NIT bids being filled right now. As for the CBI, yeah, it's an intriguing question. Does BYU feel that they want to, not end the season on that last game? Is that the way you want to go into the off season, with that being your last effort? If that were the case, if the case where they didn't want to end that way, I would understand it. If there were more games to be played, I think there are enough competitive guys in that program to say, let's go play and win some games. But I guess that'll all be discussed and determined here in the days to come.
Greg, straight up, would you be open to watching BYU playing the CBI and thus calling the games? And would you hope for more, that the Cougars wouldn't end on this this game against San Diego?
Yeah, just the the desire to see the team play better and play more is always there. I would love that. Of course, if there's a game, I'm calling it. Just put me to work. And I think once you overcome kind of the shock of the way things ended, if there was somebody else lining up games for you and there's something to play for, I'd be down for it. And I guess we'll find out if everyone else feels that way shortly.
Jahshire Hardnett announced that he's going to transfer. I guess not a huge surprise, given kind of how the season played out. But played 2 seasons here, and now Jahshire's out, and there'll be a scholarship available. Yeah.
Once he went to the bench at the start of conference play, things changed for him, and not in a good way. And then nothing ever really came back to the way it was. So that's unfortunate. He was an important player when he was playing well, and ultimately, in his absence, BYU never really did find that third scoring option, reliable, consistent scoring option, and that was one of the reasons things kind of tailed off the way they did a little bit.
Greg Wrubell with us on BYU Sports Nation. You get ready to call the game with Kristen Kozlowski today. I just want you to document.
You want any advice from Spencer on this?
I want you to document this, Greg, because 10 years from now, Kristen's going to post a picture of you two from 10 years ago, and she'll never let you forget about it.
I'll have the same amount of hair 10 years from now as I do now.
Who knows? You could Marv Albert that, right?
Good stuff, Greg. We wish you the best of luck on the call today. Enjoy it, and go Cougs. Thanks.
I'll see you in the building shortly. Thanks, guys.
You got it. Greg Wrubell on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Deseret First, your values, your timeline, your financial future.